because we're here live at Uptown Bill's Coffee House. So I say, if you have nothing to do, and it is Tuesday. Now, of course, if you're watching this on the Friday night rerun, then it's too late. But if it is Tuesday, shortly after 6, you can come down to Uptown Bill's Coffee House on South Dubuque, at the corner of South Dubuque and Lafayette Streets, right down by the railroad tracks, and witness this being made live. Anyway, every month we do this from Uptown Bill's Coffee House, the last Tuesday of the month. It's already the last Tuesday of January. Yeah. You know what that means? We're well into 2014 now. I almost got used to writing it. So. Anyway, we got Joe Brisbane here. He's helping me out.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
Well, about the same as always.
Yeah.
Watch out. So, you got a Loudon. I almost brought my Loudon. I was playing it earlier.
Oh, were you?
My Loudon, yeah.
Okay.
Because it has a big voice. It's a Loudon.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sorry, man.
No, they're manufactured in Belfast, Northern Ireland.
I thought it was like
sometime between 2 and 4 o'clock in the morning by elves.
Oh, I see. Leprechauns.
Yes.
No, it's a Protestant guitar. Mine actually has a case. It's green on the outside, but orange on the inside.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't know the guitars were religious, but anyway, no. It's Loudon is actually a town in Scotland.
Is it really? I didn't know that.
We did a whole show about people getting thrown out of Ireland. I mean, thrown out of Scotland. Excuse me. Then they went to Ireland, and some of them, got thrown out of Ireland and ended up in the U.S.
Okay.
They called it Scots-Irish.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure where they got thrown out of before they went to Scotland. But,
Well, my relatives were thrown out of Scotland for rustling cattle.
really?
Yeah, they joined with the Stuarts and rustled the king's cattle.
I see.
Had to flee.
Yeah. I'd say it's too bad, but then I guess you wouldn't be here with us today.
Well, that's true.
I'd say you'd be back in Scotland, but he probably wouldn't exist. Somebody
Well,
else.
probably not. Probably not.
So was it all worth it, do you think? No, I'm sorry. Okay, so... Okay,
Well, being here tonight, yeah, it's worth it.
So you want to play something now, or you want to wait and have me play something first? What do you think?
It's your show, sweetie. Go
man.
for it.
I'm going to play this guitar for a moment
Okay.
and do a loop. Actually, I haven't tried to find out if my looper works yet. Sometimes it doesn't work, so I'll do something here and wasn't it for jazz? I had a different plan, but I had the big hum in the other guitar, so I'm back to this one. And this is basically a Guild Manhattan. It's a replica, a copy of a Guild Manhattan. And I hear they're starting to build them again. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they used to be built in Elizabeth, New Jersey. And
Where are they building them now?
I don't know, because I just, you know, I like to look at pictures of guitars on the internet.
Sure.
I bet does that surprise you at all?
No, not at all.
Okay. Well, the thing is that they're recreating things. If you look around at cars nowadays, they have like big muscle car things, which are
Sure.
like a lot kind of like with the same idea as like the muscle cars of the late '60s, early '70s.
Sure, the
you know?
goats, yeah. GTOs.
GTOs, oh yeah, and then Mustangs and stuff like that. And then you have your General Motors, equivalents and stuff. But because so the guitar thing is, I mean, they're like these companies that got lost in the shuffle. They got like Guild, Fender bought Guild, basically closed them down. But for a couple of years, people from Guild went to Korea, and they're sent there with all the equipment
Okay.
that they used to build the Guild guitars. And there's this one factory, and I don't know what it's called, but that's where they build quartz guitars in Korea, where they build they do excellent work. They've been doing it for several generations now. Years ago, Korean guitar was usually
Yeah.
junk, right?
Right.
And then, but as time passed, several generations started building guitars. They built better and better ones, and they contract out for other companies. So
Sure.
this is actually the body and neck were made in Korea, using the same templates
Yeah.
and made by Korean workers trained by people who used to work at Guild,
Okay.
who got thrown out of a job
Right.
in New Jersey
Why do you like this guitar? What's so special about it?
because it's
It speaks to you.
a big, beautiful, heavy-duty jazz box.
Yeah.
It's a Guild Manhattan, man. It's like a Guild Manhattan, only it's was available. They don't make these anymore, by the way. The pickups are the old Diarmid pickups made in the USA,
yeah.
off the shelf. There was actually the final,
Okay.
the body and neck were made in Korea. They put it, the electronics,
Yeah.
the bridge.
No,
and
the bass notes particularly on that thing really sound good.
yeah, and then don't. So anyway, it's a Guild X. This is a Diarmid X155. It's basically a Guild Manhattan. And even says Guild on the truss rod cover. That was off the shelf too.
Okay.
So that's my story. I've said this before on the show. So what's your story?
So my
Joe?
story is that I've been down here playing guitar and singing quite a few times, and I came in and I wasn't singing Irish songs for St. Patrick's Day or singing labor songs for Labor Day, and I just had a gig, where I was doing things, and I really liked this place, and I wrote a song about it, and I have people, look around here and think about what Uptown Bills and the Extended Dream Foundation mean to this community, and have people close their eyes and meditate, and then we do. Let's all go to Uptown Bills. It's on Dubuque Street, just over the hill. It's as good, it costs less than a mill, and there's nothing like it in Coralville. Grab a seat, put up your feet. There's books to read and treats to eat. The fun at Bill's just never halts. Let old Tom make you a chocolate malt. The atmosphere appeals to me. I like peace and harmony. There's plenty of things to do and see. That's
gonna use that for your reel there, Tom? Or
Sounds good.
is that good enough for you? Okay, all right. We had ulterior motives for doing this.
Yes, yes.
Well,
We'll get looped over and over and over and over again.
it's gonna be
Thanks to Tom Gilson.
we'll have to live with this for years, man. It'll be on their video. So yeah, okay. Well, you know,
Anyway, thank you very much.
come on back sometime. If you have jokes that are family friendly, because it's keep it
Yes.
clean. It's a family show.
Okay,
Also,
I'm working on it, but I got something better.
okay.
Aaron Ebnet.
Okay, well, we'll have her on in a minute.
Okay.
We'll have her like a little later in the show because we want her, because she's going to have her CD release party, aren't you?
Yeah.
Concert. Okay, Erin's going to come up here and do her thing, and I guess I'll play along with you. Try to get the notes right. And if I get them wrong, I'm playing a jazz guitar, so that's what they say. Close enough for jazz.
Close.
If I played the wrong chord, we could just say it was a substitution. So. There you go. There you go. There you go. That was a little frolic in C sharp minor. So, Skobinski, sir, I know I told you that we probably wouldn't have time for you to read any poetry, or so you had to be. But I forgot you'd be up here the whole time. Do you have anything? You didn't. Okay, it's okay, man. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. You know, I was like last week. I was like all worried because of the short-staffedness and stuff. But with Bob leaving, you know, which is a problem. We have a joke deficiency. Usually about this time in the show, Bob Wiley gets up and tells some jokes, or at least reads something of his research during the week. And I'm looking at you, Tom, because I don't know anybody else who knows any jokes. Well, I know some jokes, but I'm going to try to keep them to myself. If anybody actually knows a good joke, and I know, bear in mind, this is a family show, so it has to be, you know, I don't want anything that obscene, I suppose profane, or you know, just vulgar. Insensitive, yeah, but and we can't even.
Collected.
Okay.
2 jumper cables walked into a coffee house. They each ordered coffee. All right, the barista said, but you better not start anything.
Ah.
The past, the present, and the future walked into the coffee house. It was tense. Times Roman walked into the coffee house and asked the barista if he'd go out on a date. Sorry, she said, I'm not your type. A customer came up to the counter and complained, every time I drink a cup of your coffee, I get a stabbing pain in my eye. Barista looked at him and said, have you thought of taking the spoon out of your cup?
That's right. Yes.
A ghost came into the coffee shop and ordered coffee. Would you like anything in it? The barista asked. The ghost said, yeah, scream and sugar.
Yeah.
Neutron walked into the coffee house. Asked how much for a cup of coffee. Barista said, for you, no charge. Shall I stop?
Oh, we got time for another one or two.
Okay, I got one more, I guess. Pony walked into the coffee shop. Could I have a cup of coffee with a little room for cream? Pardon me, I didn't hear you, said the barista. That's okay, replied the pony. I'm a little hoarse.
That's yeah,
All right?
that's pretty good there.
Shall I leave now?
I think that's probably done enough. I think for now. I think
Thank you.
Okay. That was the boss here, this young Tom. Who, I guess he runs things around here. Of course, it's like the shy pebble who wished that she could be a little bolder.
Oh.
Most of my jokes are things like, two guys walking down the street, and one of them was a guitar player. The other one, he didn't have any money either. I'm gonna start something here in a minute, but in a moment. But oh yeah, we're gonna have a big to do here next month, right? That band. What's the name of that band that's gonna be here?
It's Lance Canales and the Flood.
Lance Canales and the Flood, and they're going to do a thing about that song that Woody Guthrie wrote about the deportee, which I have a sort of a folk. This is kind of a. I mean, I'm holding this jazz guitar, but this is kind of a folksy night in a way, and of course Pete Seeger just died, which is interesting. It was kind of. I mean, I guess I've been aware of him all my life. And he finally died. And there, one night, I actually, one night I played with Pete Seeger. Yeah. But see, so many thousands of people have played with Pete Seeger one night that, not that night, but other nights throughout this long career, that it's not that unique in any way. But it was the Iowa Peace Chautauqua in the early 1980s at Living History Farms in Des Moines, or near Des Moines. And I played, I had a gig there. I was on I did put you on TV there, Tom. But I played at like stage 3 in the afternoon or something, and Pete Seeger was the headliner that night on stage 1. But after the whole thing was over, we all had a big jam session, and Pete Seeger was there along with Ronnie Gilbert and a number of other people, and we all jammed, and so he jammed along with us for a while. So we had this big jam session around the pool in this motel. And so we had nobody was swimming, but they had this whole area around the pool and this sort of dome over it, and we were in there playing. So I played with Pete Seeger one night. And, I used to be kind of like a folk, well, sort of a folk guitar, because I could finger pick. Anyway. Thank you. So, Pete, did you want to read something? You want to come up and read something? Yeah. Yeah.
How you doing, team?
About the same as it was this afternoon. I haven't,
Oh, yes?
not much improvement, but I haven't deteriorated that much either. So.
Yeah, because I saw T this afternoon because he's a guitar player and I'm a recording engineer, and once in a while we do something together, which has to do with me recording.
Yeah, somebody needed a minute for
64 seconds.
64 seconds for their TV show in Des Moines somewhere, and I'd given them like 32 seconds before. It wasn't enough.
Wasn't enough.
So,
We couldn't just loop it.
yeah, well, that's cheating.
Had to do something brand new.
Yeah, well, I mean, looping isn't always cheating. Never mind.
Oh, it's beside the point. Well, I was going to talk about not music.
Well, that's all right.
History of, well, I thought I'd do sort of a two-part thing, but we're kind of running out of time, aren't we? What time is it?
That's fast. What time is it?
25 minutes.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So I was going to do one. I'll talk about the history of writing,
Mhm.
and then about the history of the book.
Oh, okay.
Which would you rather?
You know, my wife has a master's degree in that subject.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, both subjects. I don't know.
Okay.
Let's take a poll. All those who want the history of writing, and all those who want to, okay, all those in favor of the history of writing, raise your hand. All those with the history of the book, raise your hand. There was like,
It's a tie.
there was 1 and 1.
All right.
I didn't see what your vote was. You want the book?
Book.
That says 2 to 1. Okay. All right. All right. here we
Assume writing exists.
go. All right.
All right. Well,
You need that to make the books, you know. Go ahead.
Very briefly, writing, originated in many cultures at many different times, way back in history. But the writing that we use pretty much originated in the Zagros Mountains of northwestern Iran about 10,000 years ago, and it can pretty much be traced directly down to us. And of course,
Mhm.
those early writings were making signs on clay tablets and other clay objects, one of which I brought, but I'm not going to show you because you don't care about the history of writing.
Well, we care very much about it, but we only have so much time. We have to get
Yeah.
Aaron up here.
Okay, so, however, eventually it became, better to write on things which were like flexible and foldable and easily made and transported and that sort of thing. And so for long documents, the first really long document in that part of the region of the world that needed to be written was the Torah, sacred writings of the ancient Hebrews. And this was done on a scroll made of papyrus. So what is papyrus? It's a grass, and its characteristic is that if you lay strips of this stuff at right angles and pound it or press it, the sap will cause it to kind of glue itself together into a sheet. And then you can take several sheets and do the same procedure to knit them together together, and then you have a really long, narrow sheet, and then you can write on it in columns and roll it up. And in ancient Greece, a typical scroll might be 30 feet long, but of course you would never look at the whole thing. You just unroll it to the part that you're reading, and then you roll up part of it, unroll some more, and read some more. And this lent itself to great works, great bodies of literature and things like that. But an alternative was what's called the codex, which is something which can be folded. And the early codices is the plural of codex, would be a tablet made of wood or clay or ivory, and 2 or more leaves, as it were, plates, which could be joined at one edge by hinges. And on the inside, or the writing surface, was hollowed out and filled with wax, and then scribed with a little stylus. And this had the advantage of being reusable and portable, and once opened up, it's twice as much surface area as when you fold it in half, or maybe you could even fold it in thirds or something like that. But of course, it's not really permanent, being just scribed on wax. Papyrus met the codex in the form of a stack of pages that could be put together, and this is a book. And among the advantages of the codex in this form is that, for example, you can stack up your pages, fold them in half, and then you can turn pages like we're accustomed to in modern books. And this goes back thousands of years, but it goes back to the Western, and there's the Eastern Mediterranean cultures, and the major use of the codex early on, leading to its general adoption, was in fact the rise of Christianity. Because unlike the Torah, where you have this fixed body of knowledge and you just sort of have to start at the beginning and read to the end, in Christianity we have these chapters and verses. Well, actually chapters and verses were added much later, but I mean you have separate books, and you might want to refer back and forth. Imagine trying to refer 100 pages ahead in your scroll. You'd have to remember where you were, and then roll it up, and then unroll to some other part and check that part, and then go back. Whereas in a book,
I have that problem with the blogs. You scroll and see. Okay.
but imagine a book, you can put your finger in it and flip a whole bunch of pages back and forth. So curiously, and I'm no, as you may know, no great supporter of the contributions of Christianity in our culture. Nevertheless, it is interesting to note that if not for that, the book would have been developed probably much later. Anyway, so what do you make books out of? Well, it's interesting that there was in the 1st century a big conflict between the great libraries of the time, the Egyptian library in Alexandria and the Pergamon library in Anatolia, which is Turkey, not modern land of Turkey, and the Ptolemy of Greece, in order to, or the Greek Empire Hellenized Egypt, tried to enhance his market share of the Alexandria Library by banning the export of papyrus, so that only he could use papyrus. And the Pergamon Library was experimenting with this new material, parchment, which is animal skin, goat or sheep scraped, thawed, and the benefits of parchment were that you could easily write on both sides and easily fold it because it's a lot less fragile than papyrus, and stitch it, make stitched bindings, and even reuse it, because you could just take a sheet of papyrus that had writing on it that if you didn't need it anymore, you could scrape the ink off and write something new.
Sand it down, yeah.
And also would last, did I say it was the longevity would last for centuries, which the papyrus tended not to do. So that is the origin of books on parchment and binding, book binding, writing on both sides of paper, and all these things which we now
Now we have the Kindle.
early history of the book, and now we have the Kindle. I did want to tell you one thing. Do you have time for a short story?
I do, but she's going to come up with her guitar in 5 seconds, maybe 10.
I was just doing a recording session out west someplace where I do my stuff, and they were talking about this, about the latest greatest thing in sheet music is the iPad.
Yeah.
And you can get an application for your iPad where you can sit on your music stand, and then there's a Bluetooth
Yeah.
foot pedal that
Just change pages.
flips the pages.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, that's fine, but when you want to write in the fingering or
You can
slurs
do
or
that.
something, now you can do
You can do that with the touch. They had that for like.
You can even point out
Yeah,
stuff you don't want
You
to
can
see.
edit with your finger on your. I'm thinking about getting a screen like a CD TV, and doing away with my music stands, and in my music room. So people come over because I have people with glaucoma, and most of my students are short eyeballs and they have gray hair. So we have like notes that big.
Yeah.
You see, like that. So I have the iPad and I plug it into the Bluetooth and it go through the. So
Yeah.
that's my dream.
I just have about 4 pairs of glasses for every 2-inch increment. But,
Yeah.
well, there you go. Well, play a short one while you're
Yeah, well, come on up.
and,
I'll
we'll talk to you later.
thank you so much. Oh, here, everybody. Let's hear the book. That's great. Come on up. On a tune.
Hopefully we're in tune together. May not be.
Are you in tune? That's the question.
That is the question. This
Well,
is
why
really
don't-
loud.
Yeah, you're supposed to have it's a microphone. And everyone's supposed to point your guitar right into that if that's close enough.
I think it's loud.
I mean, if you can, because we want to hear your guitar. But why don't you like strum a chord or something that I can? I'm close enough for jazz. I'm kind of loud. I can turn down a little bit, or you can turn. You play. Why don't you play like really loud?
Well, I'll play loud.
Yeah.
Really loud?
Loud enough. We got a sound man on the job here, so
I think I'll be alright.
I don't know if the microphones. It seems like the.
That sounds kind of loud to me, don't you think?
Checking the sound levels
I
now.
think it's plenty loud.
All right.
Sure.
Tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah. My name's Erin Ebnett. I am a singer-songwriter, and I'm also a board-certified music therapist.
Yeah, I knew that.
You knew that.
Well,
I've been out here before. It's been a little while, though.
yeah, well, we were talking about you behind your back, the other music therapists tonight. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I recently, actually as in today, released my first full-length album. And I'm doing a CD release show here right after this show.
In a few minutes.
In just in a couple minutes, yeah.
Yeah. So everybody, if you want to go to the party, you should come down to Uptown Bill's. If you
Yeah.
leave now, you'll probably be on time.
Probably
So
would.
this is live TV. So everybody who's watching, both of you, come on. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So okay, that's great. A full-length CD. And what's it
Yes.
called?
It's called May You Find.
Okay.
And it has some of my oldest songs, including some songs that I started writing. I guess my very first songs, and they were inspired after an accident I had when I was in college. And I later found out that I survived the accident as a result of another young woman. I guess safety precautions they'd put in place after her death. So I found out that I had survived, I guess as a result of her death, and that was a pretty serious time in my life. That's when I started exploring songwriting a little bit, and the title track on the CD is one that I've written for her family, and so it's that's not the one I'm going to play right now. I'll play it later. I'll play it.
You play it for the party because that's like the hit.
It's like the-
this is just the warm up
Gotta raise
thing.
it up,
Okay,
yeah.
this is okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna play
But I'll
along.
play a different one for you if that's
Yeah,
okay.
you play whatever you want. I just
Sure.
play along, and I'll just follow you somehow,
Okay.
and I'll
well,
be.
this
I'm
one
sure.
should be too hard. This one's in D minor.
Yeah, I figured that out already. Yeah.
You figured it out. Got a good ear. Yes.
No, I'm a low rent music instructor. I know these
He
things.
knows these things. He knows these things. Well, this is a song that I wrote. It was inspired by some sessions I had out at the Eau Claire County Jail when I was in school. I did some music therapy sessions with the female inmates out there, and we used a lot of imagery. We're talking about things that maybe didn't go so well in their lives, and maybe some ways we could try to turn that around. And we used a lot of different imagery, and you'll hear some of that in this song. And this is the only song, this is an interesting little fact, this is the only song I've ever written with an encyclopedia. So there's some analogies about glass. I didn't really know anything about glass, but I'm like, it might work. And so yeah.
Okay. All right.
And I wrote this probably like maybe 8 years ago before, the smartphone and all that stuff. So
Oh, yeah,
that's why I
yeah.
had a real encyclopedia. So
Wow, you had
There you
just
go.
like a paper one. Wow.
a paper one.
Back in
Real
the old
close.
days.
I
Yeah.
know.
We had to wind up our computers then.
Exactly. All right, this one's called She's Like. She's like a window pane, easy to see through. She's fragile and often open, and she tries to hide her shame. But disguising her surface won't keep her from being broken, 'cause there's no decorative coverings, no beautiful etching or staining that'll keep her glass from weathering. Inner strength can only come with proper tempering. And she's like a candle's flame, burning so brightly, requiring the room to embrace her. But a candle's light won't leave a base, shining until the wax eventually engulfs her, and she's like a slab of clay. Feeling so dirty, she hopes to be washed away. Resistant to the partisan, she crumbles and breaks, wondering if the stubbornness was the biggest mistake. Cause when we're broken, can we be fused together again? And when we're burnt out, can our light still shine again? And can we be built up by the potter's hands? Without them, just where do we stand? When do we stand? When do we stand? Oh, when do we stand? When do we stand? When we're like the we go big. When we're like the candles in the flame. When we're like that crumbled clay. Do we really have to live that way? Is that really how we've gotta stay? No, we don't have to live that way. Thank you. That was awesome. Good playing.
It's been fun. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I like D minor.
You like, yeah, it's a good one, isn't it?
Got a B flat in there, and if you throw in a C sharp, it's like way cool.
It's way cool. Ah.
Yeah,
It is kind of like this.
that's
Very
fun.
cool.
Yeah, it's a nice song. It's a great song.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't want to make light of this, but did you get hit in the head when you had your accident?
No, I did not.
I just wanted.
You're just wondering.
I have a
Will that explain a little?
no. I have a personal theory that a hypothesis more than a theory, really. That
Sure.
if you get hit in the head hard enough, you become a guitar player. So
You would know.
yeah, I got hit
Nice.
really hard, and so I
Became a really good guitar player.
well, I got a lot of
Yeah,
guitars at home.
yes.
I have a lot of guitars at home, so I can't help myself.
All right. Well, how are we doing for time? Did you want another one?
Oh, we
or
got
is
like
it-
5 minutes at least.
Oh.
Do you want to hold up your CD to this camera?
Oh my
I
goodness.
set one
You-
right here.
Oh, you did? Look at that. Look at
Almost got
that.
it, yeah.
It is right here. It's called May You Find, and you can get it right now at aaronebnett.bandcamp.com. Otherwise, you can go to aaronebnett.com and you'll find a link for it there.
Or you can come down to Uptown Bill's
Or
Coffee
come
House
down
right away,
now, yeah.
and then you can get one.
We got a couple minutes, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, we got well over 5.5 minutes, don't we? Something like that.
Yes.
Do you have another song?
Sure, I've got one for
Let's
you.
do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's get it done.
Well, let's get it done. This one's called Chance on the Wind, and it's just like that. It's about taking chances and not worrying so much maybe about what the world thinks. It's an E,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you already knew that. 'cause you
I-
already heard it.
I,
You see my fingers, and you know these things.
I know. I played guitar before.
You're right. You're right. All right, here it is. Thinking about who you're meant to be. Tired of fulfilling someone else's dreams. Though the fear fair consumes you so. If you don't try, you'll never know. Ooh, you'll never know. They say the words they want to hear, but your plans will fall yet another year. How much longer can you put on this show? 'Cause if you don't try, you'll never know. No, you never know. You'll never know. You'll never know. You'll never know. They'll say anything, they'll try to deter you. Coming to do what they want you to, but they can only push you as far as you let them. And if you don't try, you'll never know. Now is the time to be making the most of your life, making everything. Time to take that chance, don't you let it go. 'Cause if you don't try, you'll never know. They'll say anything to try to deter you. Coming to do what they want you to, but they can only push you as far as you let them. And if you don't try, you'll never know. No, you'll never know. You'll never know. You'll never know. You'll never know. Take a chance on the wind, they say. Nothing is nothing. Take a chance on the wind, they say. Nothing is nothing. Hey, no. Take a chance on the wind, they say. Nothing is nothing. Take a chance on the will they say. Nothing is nothing. And you'll never know. It's hard not to resolve that one, isn't it? Exactly.
You can't do that. Okay. Well, this-
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah,
We'll do
thanks
it
for
again
having me
sometime.
on.
Huh?
Appreciate it.
We've been doing this like once a month for a couple of years now, at least. I don't know. You remember how long this has been going on?
Almost 3 years.
Almost 3 years.
Mhm.
How long has this been going on? I start either, so I got 3 minutes. Do you know any how cold is it jokes there, Tom? I got like a minute or so. I mean, before I start my rolling the credits and everything, and I got to play that one song.
Well, I think the only thing I could say is I really enjoy it when people call from Los Angeles or Albuquerque, and our temperature's like 100 degrees cooler than theirs.
Yeah.
And they say, well, are you okay? This happens every January. Are you okay? I said, I'm fine. I'm living indoors now.
Yeah.
And but I can't talk for long because I'm walking down to get an ice cream cone. You know, and then this year I added an extra little touch. So they say, you know, and they're still like, is everything okay? I mean, are you all right? Too much watching of the Weather Channel contributes to this.
Well, yeah, that's what happens.
And I say, well, you know, I'm just going out for a walk, so I've got to go. And that just really gets, no, it's a gasp. I'd love to hear that gasp at the other end.
Yeah.
And I say, I'm going to go out for more than a minute.
Right. Well, you get soft when you're out there, you know. Out there where it's hot down there, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's it, grandmother says your blood gets thin,
Yeah.
I think is the expression.
Yeah.
So,
Doesn't bother me. And I've known, like I had this pal who was from Nigeria, and he used to it. You know, he moved to Ohio, and
Yeah.
he ended up in Iowa, and they moved out of the way. But we were standing out there, and it was like, you know, February somewhere where you get used to it, you know, and didn't quite have our jackets all the way zipped up. And it was like, you know, it was in the teens or lower teens, and it's whatever you get used to, man, he said with his accent, you know, and he had no love of Nigerian weather, apparently. So
and he was texting on his phone without gloves on and
Yeah.
things like that.
Well, that was back in the old days, like when she wrote that song when we didn't do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. I'll take off now. But if you're watching, of course, Aaron, who was just on, will be here for a CD release show in moments.
As soon as I can tear this down,
As soon as we get you off the stage.
they get rid of me. Okay, here it is. No time to bask in the glory. We're gonna tear this down here. Oops. I sit around too much. That's what. I'm getting old. That off. Put this away. Do we have an important business in there already? Or?
A little conversation. I don't know.
I've got my stuff in there.
Came and they were looking for a quiet corner. You just want one chair? Do you want to keep the second one up here?
Why don't you keep it up here? Go ahead, you can put it back there, that's fine.
Now that's Dave Moore's chair, so that's the one you should be using. Yeah. Did you hear Ona? He started up.
Did he? Well, when he was playing earlier, right?
chatting, yeah.
He's never done that when I've played out here, so he must not like me. That's okay.
He probably appreciates your music.
You think so?
Really listen.
Is there, no, is this one his
well,
guitar or
I
his
suppose
mic
they
stand?
could,
Or are these your mic stands?
These are my mic stands.
These are yours.
This one's yours.
That's not mine. That's
That
yours.
one's not yours. Okay.
But the mic
But the mic is.
Got it. The
That's
mic
mine.
is-
Okay.
Yeah, I lost my last one in that. Pull your chest. Sorry,
Because
sorry.
I'm
It's
going
down
to
so we
need.
don't,
Yeah, the phone.
destroy anything
Okay.
along the way.
And this is,
Well-
Mostly people's hearing.
and that's mine.
Okay.
Your loop is big.